Hey everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. My name's Tom Springer, and if you've never watched the show before, welcome to the show. It's Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii, 6 a.m. tomorrow out in Indonesia, and about 9 a.m. tomorrow out in Australia. Welcome everybody. As I said, I am the host of Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook, a place where you can come and talk about pretty much anything. Yes, Stuart, I know it's about time. How you doing, brother? Thanks for tuning in. I know you got your football game tonight, so I'm pretty sure I'm on your TV or on your phone while everyone else is gathered around the TV. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you're at. Hey, Roy and Melissa, how you guys doing? Thanks for coming on. Tonight is kind of a unique show. We're trying something a little different here. I haven't done one of these for a while, but we'll see how it goes. First off, let me grab my address here for my StreamYard account. Kathy's saying, go Bengals. Uh-oh, we might have some problems here. And hi, Kathy. How are you? Christy, how are you? Welcome, everybody. Hi, Rosie. How's everyone going? Wow. Words are hard today, apparently. How is everyone doing and how is everything going? Whew. So tonight, like I said, we're doing something a little different. I haven't done one of these for a while, but I call it an open mic night, and I open it up to anybody who wants to come on the show and talk. So, yes, Rosie, that's about how it feels to me today. Everyone's going. Seems about right. But basically, we're just going to talk about whatever you want. You want to come on? Nikki's saying hi to everybody. So hi, everybody. That's my wife right there. If you don't know who she is, she's popping in to say hi. She's upstairs keeping an eye on things, making sure I'm behaving. My internet doesn't break, all that wonderful stuff. But I am going to post in the messaging the link to my StreamYard page that I'm actually on. So if you want to come talk about anything, right now I have just posted it, and it's going to show up on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Twitch. You're more than welcome to grab a hold of that link right there. It'll throw you backstage on my show. I'll see you back there, and I'll be able to bring you on, and we can kind of talk about whatever you all want to talk about today. Not really too much going on my end over here. I did have surgery to my wrist this past week, last Friday. So this is so my first day basically out and about. You can see my wonderful scar right there. They actually got a hold of one of my wings on my angel. So a little sad about that, but we'll see how it cleans up once it's said and done. But they had to go in and cut out a handful of nerves trying to help alleviate some pain I've been having in my wrist for about 20 some odd years. So we'll see how it goes. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Aloha. Yeah, everything went pretty well as far as that went. We're a mess over here. I just got my surgery on my wrist done. Nikki had her scope on her knee done a few weeks ago. So needless to say, we're just falling apart. Hopefully we have met our quota for the next year on all the surgeries and everything else that we should have to deal with. But other than that, like I said, I'm kind of here to host. Rory's popping in. Rory, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. You hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Everything's good.
Sweet. So how you doing, brother?
I'm all right.
Yeah? What do you want to talk about? What do you want to know? What do you got questions about? You got stories to tell? You got comments to make? You do it.
Put me on the spot.
Hey, you're gonna come on the show. I'm gonna ask questions. That's what I do. Stephanie saying hey, Rory. So you got people already saying hi to you.
Well, the other day, I was up in my bedroom just working on something, and all of a sudden the radio just popped on by itself.
Yeah.
And a voice came through, and it was on for like about a minute, and then it just completely shut off.
Huh? Did it come through with the voice that you knew who the voice was?
It was a male voice.
The voice that you recognize at all?
No.
No. But it came through with the name?
Nope, not even.
Did it say anything at all?
I couldn't make it out. It was just like really deep and gargle.
Really? That's pretty wild. Is it the first time it's ever happened?
No, we live up on a Indian reservation, and our house always has spirits walking through.
Oh, beautiful. Where are you at?
Kashina, Wisconsin.
Up in Wisconsin. Okay. All right. Yeah, see, everyone's asking the same thing. They're trying to figure out the same thing. They're like, did you ever find out what it said? And Stuart's asking, what did it say? So you couldn't make out anything. Was there anything at all? Anything as far as like maybe native language or anything else, or just a bunch of beeps and squeaks, or just a bunch of garbled?
It was just a bunch of garble for like a whole minute.
Really? And then it just turned itself back off again?
Yeah.
Let me ask you. I'm not doing any any mediumship tonight. At least I'm trying not to. I normally don't try to open up in my house. But let me ask you a question. This is just something for you to think about. Have you had anyone recently pass away?
I had a niece that I didn't know too well. She passed away. Then I had an aunt passed away about June.
Okay. Stuart's asking, how did it make you feel? Did it set you off in any way? Were you just like surprised by it? Did it give you any feelings inside, or kind of
it just kind of shocked me at first, and then it didn't surprise me because, like I said, we've had spirits in this house before, and we've had somebody help us get rid of a couple of spirits in the house too.
I'm kind of wondering if the one that turned your radio on and back off again, if it was more family related. After it happened and it went back off, did you try talking to it at all? Thanks, Rosie. I was doing the same thing. Did you try talking to it at all, or are you just like, whoa, that was weird?
That was just weird.
Yeah. Huh. I wonder if it is my. So there's a couple different beliefs. One is that once you pass, you can instantly just start. I mean, you have the abilities to tap into things and basically control electronics, whatever else. But there's also some beliefs that once you switch over to the other side, you're not familiar with the other side, so it takes a while to build up your energy to understand how things work and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have a belief one way or another on that. I think I can understand both sides of it, but I'm just wondering if it was someone. To me, it doesn't really feel like anyone that was a negative entity. I think it was someone just popping in to say hi, to let you know that they're okay. Is really what it felt like. Because you really didn't have any anxiety when it happened. You were just kind of like, whoa, and you're like, okay, type of thing. And you did the whole, that was weird, but it didn't startle you outside of when it first happened and turned back off again. It didn't feel to you as it did when you knew you had the negative entities in the house that you needed help with.
No, it wasn't nothing like negative or anything. But then the other 2 nights ago, my wife, she's gifted, and she's like a beginning empath. And she said that in the middle of the night, someone down the hallway was like literally screaming my name for almost like 5 minutes trying to get a hold of me.
And I'm still resonating with the family member. I'm still thinking of someone trying to get your attention, letting you know they're okay. Sorry, I opened up. I said I wasn't going to, but I did, because now I'm just starting to hear voices come to me. And it's definitely not anything that's a negative force to you. It really is. I do believe it's a family member, and it's just someone that's saying, hey, pay attention to what's about to happen, or what is happening around you, because you're missing some things.
Mhm.
And they're just trying to get your attention to kind of let you know, hey, this is what's, unfortunately, I'm not getting a lot of strong, but I just definitely know it's not a negative. It's definitely not a negative entity. I really do feel like it's a family that, so, and my wife's chiming in too. She's also saying that makes me think that Rory also has abilities that you may not know about, and someone's trying to get a hold of you. So,
Interesting.
so have you ever felt like you have abilities at all, or that you have? I mean,
Well, I have been through several Native American ceremonies, and where I've seen things and connected to things and talked to things.
So you do all the sweats and everything else and stuff like that. So
Yeah, sweats, Sundance.
yeah, that's interesting. I don't have a solid answer for you outside of the fact that, man, it does not make me feel like it's anything negative at all. I'm getting, like I said, I'm getting feedback from the audience too, and a lot of my audience is gifted. And Rosie is saying, just ask if there's a family member and try talking to them. If they are, and they understand that you're able to, and your wife as well, since she was hearing it, if they understand that you're hearing her, or you're hearing that presence, or you're understanding that presence is there, and you talk to it, it will react more.
Mm-hmm.
It will start reacting more to you than just saying, whoa, that was cool. And like Rosie says, she says, ask for a sign, ask for something. And if it's a family member, maybe not your niece, because you said your niece you didn't really know that well. But if it was your aunt, and you have known about each other for a while, if she knows you, you know her, then she'll give you a sign that you'll recognize.
Yeah.
Your niece may not give you a sign that you'll recognize, but she will give you some form of sign.
Mm-hmm.
But it may be something you have to be more on the lookout for. And Nikki is saying, if they're strong enough to do this once, ask them to do it again, or to do something else again. Ask them to repeat what they've done, and sometimes that'll help. I know that, for instance, I was in my work location and I had something turn a shower on and off, and I was like, well, if that's you need to do it again, and it turned the shower back on again.
Yeah.
And there was no one there with me, so I was like, all right, cool, I got it. So that may be something you just kind of you may just want to test.
Okay.
And just try it out and see what happens. And please give us feedback. Let us know.
All right.
Let us know how things are going.
All right.
But I am 99.9% sure that this is a friendly entity, a family member, a friend who has passed, someone who is trying to get a hold of you to let you know that they're okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Brother, appreciate it. Thanks a lot for coming on.
All right.
All right. See ya. All right. Well, Rory, appreciate you coming on, brother. But that's kind of how tonight's going to go. I guess I'm going to open up a couple of times tonight just to kind of make things happen. But hey, like I said, if you want to come on, just have a bullshit session. Oops, hold on. If I'm gonna start that, I got to start doing this. Let me throw that up there. Have a bullshit session with me. Talk about some of your experiences. Talk about your expertise. Whatever you want to talk about, feel free. If you want to come on and ask questions, I cannot guarantee that I will have the answers. I am a psychic and I am a medium, but I am not a practicing psychic and medium. So just know that the answers I give you are meant to be true from my heart. It's actually what I'm hearing from my spirit guides. If your loved one comes through, then that the loved one will come through and actually talk to me directly. So I'm either going to hear from my spirit guides or from that person directly. What I was getting for Rory was strictly from spirit guides that were giving me instructions and direction, which is unfortunately why I don't have a name. Sometimes I can get a pretty good name, pretty solid. Nikki's saying, thank you for coming on, Rory. And I'm opening up. So let's get me going. Great. Thanks. Like I said, if you want to pop in, I'm going to keep throwing this link up there inside the comment board so you can have a link to the StreamYard. I just posted up there again. So it's in Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Otherwise, you're just going to be hearing this beautiful beard talk. Not that there's a whole lot of talking to do outside of telling you, like I said, kind of stuff that's happened in the past that a lot of you people have already heard the stories. My injuries that I keep getting, Nikki's injuries we keep getting, how we're broken and have really wasted our lake this year, this summer by not being able to get into it too much, as well as not being able to get out to the golf course too much. So that's really sad. If you have any events that are coming up, I know that I'm also part of there's a little one underneath me, right underneath here is called the PERS, or the Paranormal Existence Research Society. I know that we have stuff coming up. If you want to go see what we're doing, go out there and check it out. Stuart is being nice enough to give me feedback on the football game since I don't have it on. Touchdown Eagles. And Rosie asked, golf, who drives? Me. Normally me. I drive. But let me see what I can get going on. So for those of people who weren't here last week, I can tell you that one of the cool things that happened in my building, my building is a very old military building. Was actually built B-24 bombers back in the day. Yeah, Nikki's saying, Rosie, I drive because she drinks. So, but there were some deaths that happened in the building I was in. And one of them was two pilots actually were test flying one of the planes, and it crashed back into the building I was in. Both pilots died. So every morning when I walk in, I'm the one who unlocks the building. Every morning when I walk into the building, I say good morning. Just say good morning to the spirits. Let them know I can hear them, because they definitely know they let me know they're there, but they don't do it in an obvious way. Stuff will get moved, some things will happen, whatever else. But I know they're there. They know I can hear them. And I always tell them, look, if you want me to react or you want me to interact, let me know you're here. Physically, let me know you're here. Do something. And last week, 2 Fridays ago, it's a perfect example to when I went into my office and I opened up and I said, look, you guys are here. You know I'm here. I can hear you. You can hear me. Let's just talk. And I went to the bathroom and as I was washing my hands, as I said, I heard the shower turn on. And I was like, whoa, all right. No one else is in here with me, I know, because we have the automatic lights. When I walk into the bathroom, the lights came on when I walked in. And I said, well, if that's you, make the shower go on again. And sure enough, I heard the shower turn on again. I'm like, all right, I get you. So I walked around into where the shower area is, and I looked into the shower stall, but the ground was completely dry. Now, I know 100% what a shower sounds like in that room. And I heard it come on twice, but the floor was completely dry, so that was kind of cool. Later on, I was out in my office, and I was going over a test with a couple of people who were testing. And one of the girls that works in my office came in and she said, who's screwing with me? And we're like, what are you talking about? There's 3 of us in there at the time. And she's like, who's screwing with me? And we're like, what are you talking about? We're all in here testing. And she says, someone's out there where we sit playing with the papers behind my desk. And we're like, that's none of us because we're sitting in here. And she came back a couple more times saying, all right, now it's just not even funny. And we're like, look, we haven't moved. We're in here. We're literally watching people test. And at the same time, basically right around the same time, both my other coworkers came by or looked at me and said, out of the corner of our eye, or out of the corner of my eye, I've seen someone walk by the door, but there's no one here with us. And both of them said that. And so I really do think they're starting to catch glimpses of the people who passed that are in the building that are slowly starting to understand we're not a danger to them. And they're willing to show themselves, but they're just doing it in bits and pieces. Now, again, I have not seen them, but I do know they're there. I have heard them. But it's nice to know they're starting to warm up a little bit to the office and start. And I think it's great because once they start opening up, and I'll be able to start seeing them and hearing them and talking to them. But the rest of the people have no gifts in my office as far as we know of. So it's just going to freak them out. So I think that's going to be hilarious. But Stuart, back to your question up there way back when. You were asking about a reason for my injuries. Well, this one right here, this wonderful scar, matches this scar right up here that goes all the way down my arm here. I was shot in my wrist when I was military. And I was out on a mission when it happened. So being young and stupid instead of old and stupid like I am now, I refused to go back to get the bullet taken out of my wrist. And so I stayed on mission for about the next week and a half. And by the time I got back, the bullet, the bone had started to attach itself to the bullet. So the bone was literally starting to grow around the bullet. And when I went and saw my doctor, he said he couldn't afford to take it out now because if you broke that path, it would stop feeding my thumb, the blood supply to my thumb, and I would lose my thumb. So now I have a bullet with a bone grown around it, but it's slowly causing arthritis. And you can actually still feel the tip of the bullet. Everyone seems to like to push on it because it doesn't hurt, but you can still push on it and feel it. But it's starting to cause arthritis, and so they went in and actually took out a handful of nerves in the back of my wrist area to try to help alleviate this pain in the back of my hand and in my wrist. So there's your explanation for one of my injuries. Nikki's injury was because so we went ahead and redid our deck, and I went ahead and do the destruction. So I power washed the deck and did everything else. And she was painting the deck because if you allow me to paint, more paint will end up on the ground than it will be on the deck. So we know our limitations. So she's the painter. I'm the destroyer. She had finished painting and she was taking down the tape, and the scaffolding collapsed on her and she fell onto her knee, and she also dislocated her shoulder. So she was out for a couple of reasons, but her knee still bothers her. She just had it scoped about 3 weeks ago, so she's dealing with that. So there's our injuries. Rosie, I understand, but it's funny why you mentioned Superman, because that was literally my call sign. And because when I got shot the second time, yeah, I got shot twice. When I got shot the second time, I took out the person who shot me. And my teammates said, wow, even bullets can't stop him. He must be Superman. So my call sign became Superman, and they actually bought me my tattoo that is on my calf, on my left calf, and it's a Superman logo that's on my left calf. Zachy, how you doing, brother? What's going on? Right, Rosie? I know. Nikki's just a badass woman, and she just keeps going on. Rory, I'm sorry to know that you know exactly how that feels personally. Yeah, that does kind of hurt. Rosie stated, that's like when I start falling asleep or close my eyes and I hear Mom or Rosie in a familiar voice, and I wake up and ask what, and no one is there. So I ask my guys to send me something else. Doesn't scare me anymore. That's good. I know that a lot of us try to validate what it is, because I still love the memes when it shows people saying, hey, show me that you're here, or I'm here to ghost hunt, do something. And then they do something and then the person runs away. Well, why did you ask? That's what you're there for. You're there to investigate. You're there to find out. You don't run away when you ask for them to do something silly. So it's just stupid. Stuart saying, when my wife was pregnant many years ago, she saw and communicated with the turn of the century Indian, who let us know that our great Pyrenees that just came up and adopted us was his tribe's horse that they had to eat one cold winter. He was a sweet dog. We get TV lights go on and off and on by themselves. Yeah, there's a lot of little things that seem to happen to people, and if they just took the time to pay attention, they would know that they wouldn't think it was coincidental, or they wouldn't think it was just, or they sometimes they just don't even pay attention to it. They just don't know. They don't even care to try to know. And they miss a lot of insights. I will tell you that one of the things that I did for a while, and now I don't do it anymore at all. A lot of times I would get message, and I didn't know I was getting message. I will, Nick, hold on. I didn't know I was getting messages from spirit guides because I didn't know that's who it was at the time. But a lot of times, like before I go to sleep or before I would do something into the night, I would get a voice in my head that would tell me, hey, don't forget, you need to move your keys to this location so you don't forget them. Or you need to remember to do this so you don't forget it in the morning. And I'm always like, oh yeah, I can do that. That's not a big deal. I'll remember it in the morning. And every freaking morning I would forget. Now I learned that is actually my spirit guides telling me, even though it seems inconsequential, something very small, it's still big throughout that day that I forgot to do that. Like I forgot to take something with me that I wanted to take with me. So as soon as I get that little voice in my head, even if I'm already in bed, if I hear them say, hey, don't forget that you want to do this tomorrow morning, I'll get up and I'll do it at that point, just so I know that it's taken care of and I don't have to try to remember it in the morning. That's even something as seems as inconsequential as that is someone trying to tell you something just to make your life easier, just to give you a little insight. Rosie is saying, I heard that you can put some flour on the table and a coin and ask the spirit to grab the coin. I've yet to try that. Apparently, I have a friendly spirit that came with my house. Rosie, you have a couple of them, just so you know. Both of them are friendly. One is what I would call a watcher. Not like a creepy kind of watcher, though. They stay out of your private areas. But it is a watcher. It's intrigued, and I say it's an it because it's not human. It wasn't human. It's intrigued. I want to say it's more of a nature being, if that makes any sense to you, but it's more of a nature being than it is a human spirit. That is the second one that's in your house. Yeah, and Rosie says, yes, it could be a nagging voice sometimes because I hear that too. Yes, it can be, but it's always something to tell you that something that you need to know. Nikki's asking me to tell you about our last bathroom fan. And so in our old house, before we moved here, we actually had installed a couple of new fans in the bathrooms that we remodeled and before the sale. And they were set off by humidity. Once the room got to a certain humidity, the humidifying fan would automatically turn itself on. And you would know because when you looked up at the fan, if you clicked the light switch twice, it would turn the light green, which means that it was on humidity setting. If you just turned it on once, it went to orange, and that would mean that it was turned off. And it was a manual fan by that point. So you actually had to just turn it on once to turn it back on. And we would come into the house, and we would have it set to manual fan. And every once in a while, we'd come into the house, and our fan would be running in the bathroom. And it was set to the humidifier, to the automatic humidity fan. And Nikki, after it happened so many times, Nikki just said, look, and she basically cussed it out and said, stop fucking with my stuff, and went off on it. And it stopped for a little bit. And then we had someone who read our house and it found out that it was her grandmother that was just giving us a message. So then she felt bad. So she stopped. She apologized to her grandmother and said, hey, feel free to use the fan. It's good. I'm glad you're here. So feel free to keep turning it on. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're still here with us. So that's kind of how we got. So yeah, so she said, sorry, Grandma. Rosie, you're saying you also have a man with a fedora hat. I unfortunately, I'm really not trying to open up all that much. I'm actually shutting it down more than I'm opening up. But Rory really needed that message. So that's why his came through pretty fast. But if you want me to, I can check it out afterwards. I'm not really trying to open up that strong. But again, if you all want to come on and talk, like I said, I'm just doing a one-man band type thing tonight. You are more than welcome to come on, hang out with me. Thanks, Rosie, trying to put me on the spot. I know I don't have to answer, but I'm that curious one who, if I want to know the answers, but I don't want to fully open up right now to find out the answers. But again, I can later on if you want me to. But again, if anyone wants to pop in and start instead of hearing me yap away, I am posting the link again onto my site. If you feel you need a reading, you have questions, come on and I will do a reading for you. Like I said, though, remember, I am very much a new practicing medium, psychic. Message comes to me really in a very odd type of way. A lot of people say they either get it through symbols or through different ways. If I get a message, it's either going to come directly from my spirit guides talking directly to me in their voice, or it's going to be your loved one who will come on directly and speak to me directly. I don't get little cool little messages or symbols or anything else. They just start talking, and they just let me know, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Anything else? So, like I said, up to you. You want to talk about stuff you have upcoming, stuff you've partaken in the cryptid, paranormal, UFO type world. Feel free. It's if you want to talk about your past life regression you've done. If you run a past life regression course, feel free to come on. Reiki, anything else. Tonight's a good night to come on because that's what I said. This is an open mic night, so you're allowed to talk about anything on here. Otherwise, you're just going to keep hearing me yap, and I don't know how long I'll talk for. And if I do, then I'm going to start going nerdy on you, and I'm going to start talking about the fact that there's many more multi-dimensions than what the scientists keep talking about, and parallel universes that we run across, as well as time jumps and basically time jumping forward or backwards. Can they happen? Absolutely. Do they happen? Absolutely. Your deja vu, it can be a combination of things. A lot of people believe that the deja vu is tied to your past lives. But I also believe that your deja vu can happen from you jumping forward and then coming back into this life. It's something that you're going to experience again in your future. So there's a new twist on the whole thought process that a lot of you probably have never thought about. But yes, I believe that there is so many different universes out there that have a piece of us or another version of us in them, and not all of them are past lives. There are a ton of future lives to come, as well as multi-dimensions, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to the 12th dimension. There's even 13th dimension, if we really want to talk about that one, that not too many talk about. Yes, Stuart, really, it is like back-to-back mirrors, how you can keep on looking through. Zaki, actually, no one did my Akashic records for me. I have not even done my Akashic records for me. If I had information like that, brother, I would share it with you. My information comes to me purely from either past lives, future lives, or from Spirit Guide. I am very much outside of the one mentor I have had and the small bits and pieces of information I've picked up from others just by listening to them, what I've gained on the show, whatever else. I am pretty self-taught. Am I right? I would like to believe I am. A lot of what I talk about to other people who have been doing this for a while have been in agreement with me. A lot of them are like, wow, you're pretty spot on with what you do, with what you say, with what your beliefs are. Where did you study? And I'm like, I didn't. So, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in the world, Miss Rosie. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, everyone.
Rosie popped in to say hi. Sorry, Rosie, but Christy had a really quick question. I want to answer a question really quick. Christy asked, I have a question. I recall you saying that your awakening happened a couple of years ago. Was there a specific event that triggered it? Yes, Christy, actually there was. It happened February 2022. I went on my first full multi-night investigation with some of our friends. And as we were sitting there, this woman in time period clothes walked in, and I started talking to her, and she started talking to me. And the two mediums I was with said, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "Well, I'm talking to this lady here. Here's her name. Here's what she's dressed as." And they were like, "Well, we can see her. How come you can see her?" And I go, "I don't know." And they said, "Well, how long have you been able to do this?" And I went, "About 30 seconds. So that was my triggering moment, is the fact that I sat in on my first investigation that was an overnight investigation with some friends, and it just triggered me off like that. So, yep, Christy, it was fast. It was like ripping off a Band-Aid, and it's still continuing to grow from there. So thanks, Zachy. So hi, Rosie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Everybody gets to see your wonderful smiling face now. That's fantastic. And everyone in the audience is like cheering that you're here. Like Nikki's saying Rosie, and
yeah,
saying, Rosie.
There was like, get on there. And I had a little trouble. I was like trying to follow directions, and I didn't know where anything was. I don't follow direction very well, being an Aries. Yeah.
None of us really do. I don't even follow direction in being a Pisces. I'm definitely not a Pisces, so I don't even follow direction on being the correct the sign I'm supposed to be. So Kathy's saying hello, Rosie. Hi, Rosie.
Hi, Kathy.
And Nikki's saying yay, Aries, because she's an Aries.
Go Aries.
She's actually an April Fool's baby. She's actually April 1st. So
I have a girl at work that's April Fool's. It's pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when we got married, when we were getting married, the clerk who took our marriage license thought we were kind of nuts because she's April 1st and I'm February 29th. So a leap year marrying an April Fool's baby. So that was quite interesting for them to see.
That's awesome.
Oh, and Rory's saying that Melissa is also an Aries baby.
See?
Yeah.
Aries, go Aries.
Oh, Aries rule on my show, apparently.
That's right.
So how are you tonight?
I'm good. So anyway,
yeah,
I just thought I'd come on and get my reading, and even though I said you didn't have to say anything, but no, also, so like you said before that I had been practicing on my tarot cards because I did get a tarot deck.
Okay.
So the other day I pulled a card. It was Saturday. I pulled a card and I got the Five of Wands, and then right away I looked at it and I studied it, and I'm like, I sat there, and then all of a sudden I got this thought in my head that says, hey, you've got control of this, and it's your time. You're in control. So good. I looked in the book, and it was pretty close, and I was all excited. So awesome. I was like, yeah. So, but I mean, I don't do it every day, but just once in a while when I think about it, I'll do it. And then So thank you, Nicole, for pushing me to tarot.
Pushing you that way.
Yes.
Hey, do you know that right now you have a golden aura about you?
Do I?
You do.
Is it my little pine bushes behind me? Or
no, your pine bushes are really wanting me to see a green aura, but it's not a green aura. It's an actual golden aura. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, initially it wanted me to see green, but I'm like, nope, it's not green.
No.
Stop trying to lie to me.
Yeah.
And then it popped out and showed me what it truly was. So right now
Oh,
you have a golden hue of an aura. And Nikki is saying, you are welcome. Glad to hear you are doing this. So,
yes.
yep.
And then, so then, hold on, I got one more
Sure.
thing. So then, also on Sunday morning, I said, am I on the right path? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? I said, send me that sign. Cause I had asked on Thursday, send me a sign of a yellow car that I am on the right path. And for days I hadn't seen it. So all of a sudden on Sunday, we went from Hastings to Grand Island. And guess what's right in front of me? A bright yellow Corvette. And I was like, there it is. I was like, thank you.
Okay, there it is.
Thank you. There's my sign. I love it. So yes, so I just
How much land do you live on?
not very much. I got neighbors and neighbors and neighbors and neighbors.
Okay.
It's just like that. This is my front. I'm sitting on the porch. I got a pretty good porch, and these are my bushes behind me. I gotta cut them down, but I don't. I like the privacy
I would say
from
the
the
privacy bushes.
neighbors.
Yeah.
And then so we face to the north, so it's a
Okay.
good wind block.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the wintertime because we got an open porch. So
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah.
Yeah, you're so now they just want to come in and talk to me.
Okay.
So Christy's saying she's originally from Grand Island. So
Nice.
beautiful.
Yeah, my kids live in Grand Island, so
Yeah, Nikki's actually from I don't know if you know, but Nikki is originally from Central City.
Central City. Yep.
Yep.
I heard that.
So not too far away.
I grew up in Kearney, so
Oh, okay.
I was born on the reservation right north of Valentine in Rosebud.
Okay.
Yep. And then I grew up in Kearney and then got married and moved to Hastings and been here for 28 years. So,
Huh. And Zaki's
yeah.
piping in saying, wait, what? Central City Bisons. And she says, go Lopers, that was my college. So
yeah,
and,
Kearney, yeah.
and I have to read the message. So I read the messages out. So people who don't know why I read the messages, they're for twofold. One is because I post the messages on my page and I read them out because a lot of our audience doesn't watch us, but they listen to us when they're at work or working around the house or whatever else. So a lot of the messages I read out, so that way they're hearing what our conversation is. And I also read them out because if you're on Facebook, you're not seeing the messages that are coming from Twitch or YouTube, and vice versa. So Zaki is out on Twitch, but when he posts a message, no one else on the page can see it unless they're on Twitch. So that's why I post a lot of Zaki stuff so people can see what's going on.
Yeah.
And Nikki said, yes, Zaki, I'm a bison, mighty, mighty bison. So interesting enough,
Just say it.
but I'm trying to put it. I'm trying to listen at the same time.
Right.
And I don't like overlapping because sometimes they tell me something and I'll miss it and they'll go no, and they'll tell me again because I'll talk over them.
Well, I heard that I have like a great grandmother and a grandfather maybe, and then the spirit that came with the house, which I'm just wondering why she's not cleaning or doing something useful. But and I have a cat, a male cat, and he sleeps right above my head, right next to me.
Yeah.
And he does not leave like until I go to work. And then when I come home, he pops out and he's right behind me all the time. If I come sit outside, he's waiting for me right by the door. And yeah, that cat, I don't know. It's
very much your protector. Very much your protector. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. Which is weird because I don't feel anything negative around you at all. At all. In fact, it almost seems like you have extra protection around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't feel anything bad around me. And then every time I go to work or go even to Walmart, I always have my black tourmaline or black obsidian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I asked the creator, send me the white light of the Holy Spirit to protect me and my energy. you know, like, because I'll have people come up to me and just tell me their saddest story. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then just, you know, I try to get away, but I can't get away because I'm not that person that everybody runs to, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't have all the answers. And, yeah.
Yeah. And that's funny you say that because there's someone, people always come up to me. It doesn't matter where we're at. Everybody comes up to me. Nikki will attest to this and just start talking to me. And I am not a friendly looking person when I'm out in public. I just do not have that face that resonates. Hi, come talk to me. I'm a nice person. I don't. I
don't smile. I don't smile. Always, my husband says I always have this shitty look on my face.
Right?
Like this crappy look on my face. And he's like, you always look mad. And I said, well, I'm not mad.
I have a beautiful resting bitch face. Yes. And it's on purpose. I don't like people. Go away.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Even if we're just walking by, we'll just be walking by and all these people will pass everybody like there's nothing, but they'll look at me and they go, hey, hi.
Hi.
It's the strangest thing. Nikki's like, why do they talk to you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't have that resonating personality that bursts out of me.
Right.
I am not Santa Claus. Quite the white beard. But kids do it too. Kids do it all the time. And I'm okay with the kids doing it. And it surprises me how many adults do it. And I don't know what it is that sets them off and says, hey, by the way, you look like a person I want to talk to. Yeah. And then I do get the ones who just sit there and tell me their stories. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I got nothing for you, but cool.
But thank you.
So, yeah. Hey, you have a nice sunset popping up behind you, by the way.
Oh yes, I'm trying to find the light, but I can't. The light's moving on me. So
that's all right.
Get this dark figure.
That's all right. You can be in the dark and talk at the same time. You don't have to be video. You can be audio.
I gotta soak up this weather because I don't like winter. I don't like the cold.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're hearing here, because we're out in Plattsmouth right now, just north of Plattsmouth, that this weekend we're going to be in the low 90s.
Yeah.
So,
it's going to be great. I do have a story if you want to listen.
Of course I do. That's what the show is about.
I wrote an email and I sent it out to this other podcast, and I said, because he's like, well, you can come on my show. And I'm like, okay, but I'm going to send you this email to see if it's, it's not, I mean, I have different stories, like weird stuff that's happened to me. But so one night, my son, I have 3 kids, a daughter and 2 boys. Well, my daughter and my youngest son live in Grand Island. So my son now, and he's 28 years old. He is in the process of moving, but they don't have the fence up for the dogs yet. So I got a pit bull and a golden retriever, or he does. So before we got the golden retriever, we had the pit bull. And so he would work at Casey's late at night and he would make the pizza because it was open 24 hours.
Right.
So I had the dog there. So my husband went to work because he worked at Hunan's. And he would get home at 9:30 and it was a Saturday. And he's like, hey, let's go play some Keno when I get off. And I'm like, okay. Well, it was about 9 o'clock. And so I was sitting in the room and I was sitting in a chair and all the lights were off except for the kitchen light. So my house sits on foundation. So the windows are pretty high up. You can't stand from the ground and look into my window, the kitchen window. So I was sitting there and I was putting my shoes on and getting ready and stuff. And all of a sudden the dog came up and sat next to me. And I'm like, hey, Ty, we call him Ty, but his name's Tyson. And so all of a sudden he turned around and his hair started standing up. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it was just me and him in the house and I locked the door. And so then I'm like, what are you doing? And he started growling and he was looking towards the kitchen. Well, in my house, if you walk in, you get the little foyer and then you get the dining room, then you get the kitchen. And then there's my bedroom off to the right and then the bathroom and then another bedroom. So I was sitting and so I turned around and I didn't see anything. and he just started barking and barking, and then all of his hair on the back of his spine stood up, and he was just growling and barking like somebody was standing there, like trying to get in. And I'm like, what are you doing? Well, he would not move. He would not budge because he was just that strong. Well,
Yeah.
he's a pit bull, and I did not know how he was going to react because this is the first time that he had ever did anything like this.
Right.
And it freaked me out. So I was going to go through my room to the bathroom to the other bedroom and come around to the kitchen. And I'm like, is he going to follow me? What's he going to do? So I didn't even do that. I was a little scared. So then I'm like, so then I moved the chair and I peeked out into the kitchen and I didn't see anything. And then I'm like, what are you barking at? And he just would not let up. And I'm like, whoever you are not welcome here. And I said that 3 times.
Right.
And he just kept barking. And I'm like, you are not welcome in my house. And I said that 3 more times. And then his hair started, he was still barking, but his hair started to calm down, like to lay down. And so then I sat back down and I looked at him and he quit barking. He turned around and he looked at me and he tilted his head like, what's going on? You know, I'm like, are you done? And he just sat there and he put his paw on my leg and like he was fine.
Huh.
And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that was or what it was, and that was the only time that's ever happened, like crazy. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Huh.
So then I don't know. I'm just kind of sad that he's leaving.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they don't act up like that unless, of course, there's another dog like
Right.
outside or something. But yeah, that was the only time, and I don't know what got into my house or what. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, no, 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 no. And so then I cleanse my house, and I put my salt down, and I'm like, no, we're all good. We don't have no welcome mats, no welcome signs, nothing is welcome into my home.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's
that
something.
was pretty weird.
Yeah. That's some things that people don't understand is because we didn't know that ourselves initially about the welcome mats and everything else outside our homes to say welcome.
Yeah.
Don't have those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know about that either. So now we have one that just has our initial on it.
Yeah.
For our last name. That's it. No, that's interesting because that to me that sounds to me. I don't want to say it sounds like, but it's feeling like there was something outside that he was reacting to.
And it probably was, but I mean, that's why I couldn't see because I didn't want to try to push between him and,
right,
trying to get through.
But it doesn't feel like it was another dog, or it doesn't feel like it was a person to me.
Right.
It feels like he was reacting to an entity of some form.
That was outside,
right?
Probably the window because I had the curtain open, and I didn't get it closed. And so I think if it was something that, and then I have I've always had stray cats around my house.
Right.
And of course, my husband says, don't feed them, but I feel so bad that I feed them and then they don't leave. And so it's.
But he doesn't respond to the cats that way though.
No. He's afraid of my cat. He's afraid of my cat.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't. So it's not like it was something. No, it was actually an entity. Yeah, because you have an entity in your home too, like I said, but it's not. It's human. It's more natural. Is the best way I can describe it. I don't even want to say it's an elemental.
See, that's what I was thinking when you said it was
which
not.
Is normally where I go, but I don't even feel it's elemental. It's almost like it's just a. See, because it sounds odd because I always say that elementals are, to me, they're not spirits; they're natural as well. They come from the earth, they come from the wind, they come from the water, they come from the fire. All the different elements is what creates an elemental, but this one feels very earth-like, but not an elemental. It's I mean, it's almost made up of like all of it.
Yeah.
It's in the it's with the ground. It's in the air. I really don't feel. I mostly feel it with the ground and the air. Not really too much in the water or the fire. But
Yeah.
it's not. It's not that. It's really just like watching and seeking information, but not really from you. Um, just from the surroundings. I think
Yeah.
is what it feels like to me. Is what it's doing. Um, the person or one of the people in your house, which is interesting because you mentioned all the past the older generation that's in your house.
Yeah.
But this one is not an older person, but from an older time, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Um, I want to say 30s, in their 30s. Um,
So I had a brother that back in 1982. So he would have been my cousin because I was adopted by my aunt and uncle.
okay,
But um, so I got with them when I was 3 days old, and they had taken care of me since. But and then I was adopted. But he passed away when he was 27 years old, which was back in 1982.
okay,
And we were very close from what I remember. And then all the stories that everybody told me because I was like 7 years old when he passed
okay.
away.
I'm getting a head nod. I'm getting a that's me.
Yeah.
Um,
And I figure because
because
sometimes,
I
like,
was thinking about 32 ish, but yeah, that would still that's
yeah,
not terrible.
yeah. And then, well, because I had two brothers. So, and well, of course, on my real family, I have like, I think there was like a total of 14, 15 kids.
That sounds like my
So,
family. Yeah, youngest to
and
13.
so,
So yeah, yeah,
yeah. So, but there was only two boys, and the other one passed away back in 2013, 15, and he was 50, 52 years old.
yeah.
So,
I'm like I said, I got the head nod. Um, but you were adopted, right?
yes. Yeah, for my aunt. So it would have been my mom's sister.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
And
I was like still Native American though. So
yeah, it was my
yeah,
mom's sister.
yeah.
But my dad, my uncle, he was Hispanic and he was from Texas. So, but my real mom, she was full blooded, and my dad, he had some like so my Indian degree blood was 13/16.
Okay,
So I'm not exactly full, but
but you're up there.
yeah,
Yeah. Can I ask a personal question?
sure.
What did he pass away from?
Who?
Your
My
brother.
brother.
Yeah.
So we were in South Dakota because I remember this clearly. My mom got a call from my sister and said that he had fallen in the bathtub
Okay.
and he hit his head. So that's the story that I was told when I was older. But when we asked when we were younger, my mom always kept telling us that he died from a broken heart. So he
Okay.
had a girlfriend that had left him, and I guess he just never got over it. So he was in the Vietnam War in the Navy,
Okay.
and he had, yeah. So she would always tell us stories that when he got out and stuff, that he seen horrible stuff that he
Oh
could
yeah.
not ever imagine,
Yep.
and it pretty much turned him into an alcoholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The and I'll give you the reason I asked that. So thanks for sharing that. The reason I asked that is because it made me very emotional. Um,
mhm,
Still doing it.
yeah,
So, but yeah, so that's why I want to ask what it was about, or how he died, because to me it's a very emotional. It's very much pulling at me right now.
yeah. So that, I mean, that's a story we got. Um, Now, whether or not how much of it is true, but we were told that he fell in the bathtub and hit his head, and I'm guessing he was bleeding. They took him to the emergency room, and that's where he passed away.
Okay.
So,
Okay. But yeah, I'm getting confirmation that was him. So
Yeah.
yeah, normally it's normally that's one of the things that happened to me too is if it's tragic or something like that, it the emotion hits me a little bit. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's what
And
this is.
and I do. I think about him a lot, and it's, I when I was younger, and it was probably the scary movies and being scared and whatnot, but I was always afraid of the dark and whatnot. And
Right.
until, a few years ago, my daughter is the one that got me into this. Hey, psychic Kelly Miller, you got to listen to her and stuff. And so I started watching her and everything. And
Yep.
I had weird stuff that has happened to me during my life, but I could never explain it. Like I would see like dark figures in the corner of my eye, like staring at me. And then when I'd look up, like, when somebody looks at you or stares at you, you have that feeling.
Right.
And I would look up and there would be nobody there. And I'm like, okay, that's weird,
Yeah.
And then it like quit. And all of a sudden now here recently, again, like Sunday morning, I was making breakfast. Excuse me. And so in my dining room, like I would pass by the doorway when I was in the kitchen, and I would see a dark figure. And I'm like, okay, that's weird, And I'd look and it was nothing. And then I'm like, okay. And then the third time that I seen it, I looked at it and I said, you can come in if you are for my highest good. You can
Right.
come in, you are welcome here. I said, you don't have to hide over there. And then after that, I didn't see it again, and everything was fine. So I don't know that it just continued to stay or if it left.
Right.
But I mean, the dogs weren't freaked out, or the cat,
Yeah, it didn't get set off by anything.
Right.
So that's good.
Yeah. So I don't get scared anymore, even in the dark, because I'm like, Michael Archangel, please protect my home, my family, my,
Yep.
everything. And just, so it's not having that fear anymore, but there is still that fear of the living,
Yeah.
You get somebody walking by at 6 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning, and you're like, okay, what are you doing out here?
Yeah, definitely more afraid of the living than those
Right.
that passed on or spirit or anything else. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how a lot of people are. Because I mean, people don't. Spirit will basically make their intent known for the most part, what it's going to do.
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
living beings don't necessarily tell you up front what they're about
Right.
or what their intent is. They just some will try to trick you into doing other things first before they show their true selves, which is really sad.
And it's funny because like at work, like people, like new people, and as being a team lead, I've got to open up more and everything, and I have. But before, when I was just an assembler, because I work at Thermo King here in Hastings,
Okay.
that I would just look at them, like somebody new, and I would just, listen to them and see and hear what they had to say and whatnot, and feel that energy.
Yeah.
And I would be always, and everybody's like, God, you don't have to be such a bitch. You can say something. And I said, I have nothing to say. I'm just observing,
Right.
And nobody ever gets that.
Yeah.
And so now they get me, and they're like, so then, I try to open up more, hey, whatever. And then I still would listen to them, and people that I know, I still do that to. And everybody's like, are you in a bad mood? And I'm like, no, I'm just here.
Yeah.
Just got my own thoughts going through my head. So.
Yep. Just listening. Don't have anything to respond with. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I observe a lot. I don't say much, and until somebody gets me going, and then it's, you want to argue, I can argue.
Oh yeah.
I can argue with the best of them.
Yeah. Yeah. People have learned they don't like arguing with me too much because I remember everything that's said.
Yep.
And it drives them nuts. And like, why do you remember that? That was such an inconsequential.
Why do you got to bring up the past?
Right. And how do you remember that? Well, because we were wearing this and we were sitting here and we were doing this. They're like, all right, that's just stupid.
Yep,
like,
exactly. So. Yeah, exactly.
But you said it. So
yeah.
Yep.
And so then the other night I was listening to a podcast and my ears just kept ringing. And I'm like, this isn't good. And so I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, good night, everyone. And I took my earbuds out and I'm like, okay, I'm done. You
Yeah.
stop ringing. And then it quit, and it was something scary. So it was not good for me. So then when I get that ringing in my ear that's constant, and I'm like, okay, gotta go,
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I do want to share, Cheryl just posted, my husband passed away 3 years ago, and my dog stares at the corner above my dresser. My husband's ashes are on the dresser. I just tell her she's freaking me out. Cheryl, I have a question for you. When the dog looks and it's looking into the corner, is it looking into the right corner of the side? I mean, if it's looking up at your dresser, does it turn and look at the right side? Just curious here for a second. Sorry, I'm just.
no, you're fine. I think my opinion on that would be he's still there, but I mean, so I had this lady that I would go and help her, and her husband's ashes were in the closet.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I have stuff that falls from the shelf, and I'm like, maybe he's asking you to spread his ashes. And she goes, I still want to do that. And I said, maybe now's the time, otherwise you're gonna keep. I said, it's probably him. I said, but it's not to get freaked out about. If you want it to stop, I would just go spread his ashes.
Yeah. Cheryl, the ashes are dead center, but does the dog look to the left or to the right? I understand the ashes are probably dead center, but when the dog's looking, is the dog looking to the right? To the left. Okay. 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 How old is your dog? Can I ask? And when your dog looks, does your dog tilt its head?
So when the dog tilts the head, is that like a friendly gesture?
When they tilt their head, they're normally reacting to a voice they hear. They're not actually just seeing it, but they're hearing the person as well.
Oh.
So the dog is actually seeing the person's voice, or still hearing the person's voice still. So they'll tilt their head in the direction when they hear the voice. Because if you look at a dog and you're just staring at a dog, the dog will look straight at you. But if you say a dog's name or you hear the voice, it will normally tilt its head.
So they're sensitive to frequency.
Yes.
So I heard that dogs, when it rains, dogs aren't afraid of the water. Their sound of the rain is what gets them. That's the reason why they're trying to figure out what that noise is.
That's also how it is with thunder. They can hear the thunder, but it's the rumble of the thunder that they feel that scares them. Not the thunder itself, but the actual vibration of the thunder that scares them.
Okay.
You almost got the dog 1 year to the day after he passed. Okay. Yeah, I really do believe that your dog is more hearing than seeing your husband's spirit. He definitely knows you got the dog. And I really believe that your dog is hearing more than seeing, and your husband is very reassuring to the dog, which is why the dog hears the voice but doesn't really, not in a negative way. It's someone that the dog does not know, hasn't met before, but it's a very calming voice to the dog, and the dog recognizes that the person, the spirit there is allowed to be there, like it belongs in the house. So that's why your dog reacts the way it does, and not in a negative way. If that helps at all. that makes any sense. But yeah, that's why they tilt their head, is because they're reacting to the noise or the vibrations, or the frequencies, as a lot of people will say. But that's what they're reacting to. That's why sometimes it's hard to take dogs hunting, because some dogs they hear the bang, and a lot of people think they freaked out because of the loud noise, but it's actually the vibration they're getting off of it, which is why they'll act the way they do.
Interesting.
Because you could be in complete silence with a dog, and you can point something at it that gives off a vibration, and the dog will react to the vibration.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. So Cheryl was saying, I was wondering if he was near. I have no gift. Well, you have a gift of your husband still being by. So yes, that is your gift, is that the fact that your dog is letting you know that he is still around and he is still there watching over you and your family.
I believe everybody has a gift, but whether
Yes.
you're tapped into it or
Correct.
not.
Yeah, she's saying that she has no gift. You have it. You just haven't either found it, opened up to it, or accepted it yet. One or the other.
I would just ask.
But the whole thing is, a lot of people will ask, but they don't. A lot of people will ask with the belief that they just don't have it. They can ask all they want, and it's just not going to happen. If you ask with that mindset, it won't happen. It will never happen. You have to ask completely openly and completely trusting that it will happen, and you have that ability, whether it be psychic, whether it be, it could be the smallest of abilities that what a lot of people consider small or inconsequential, but it's an ability. My ability when I was in the military, without knowing I had it, was picking up on things before they happened. I would know when we were about to be in danger. And it's to me, it was very inconsequential until it saved my team a bunch of times. Then it became very important that I had that gift without knowing I actually had the gift. Cheryl, I'm glad that makes you happy. I actually believe that is why you got the dog. You got the dog to help fill a void in your family's life with your child and everything else, but you actually got the dog because the dog is what is picking up on your husband. And that dog is what lets you know that he is still there. Before that, you weren't sure at all. You didn't have any signs. You never got the information. But now you have reassurance. So
yeah, and I believe everything happens for a reason. There's
absolutely.
like no coincidence whatsoever.
Yep. I don't believe there is either. So I don't believe in coincidence. This may cause a little controversy here. I do believe in fate, but I do believe that fate can be altered or changed, which some people do not believe in. They believe once you have fate, once you are set, that is the way your life is going to turn out. They believe that's your soul contract, but your soul contract can be altered.
Yes.
So I don't believe that fate is set in stone. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I believe in like the clairs, like clairvoyance and clairsentience and clairaudience, and just all those either in it. You don't have to have, everybody has the same one. It's what you feel it, you hear it, you sense it, you taste it,
right.
It's just that those are your abilities.
Right.
And if you have multiple, good for you,
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel. Like I've had, like I said, weird stuff that's happened to me. And like one night I was 14 years old, because it was in March and my birthday's of course in April.
Right.
That it was a Thursday night and the next day was Friday, and I was supposed to go on this retreat because I went to Kearney Catholic in North Platte for the weekend. And I was so excited. I had all my stuff packed up and everything else. And as soon as I got done with my homework, I checked everything. And as soon as I got up from my bed, I went and my mom and dad were in the living room. And all of a sudden I got this gut feeling that something was going to happen, something bad was going to happen. One of them was going to die is the thought that I had.
Okay.
And I went and kissed them both goodnight, and I hugged them and I said, I love you guys. And I went in my room and I cried myself to sleep.
Mm.
And the next day I woke up and I forgot all about it. And of course something bad did happen. And that's a longer story, but it's that feeling, that gut feeling that you get. And so ever since then, I learned to trust my gut. Like if
Correct.
something isn't right, then no, I'm not doing it.
Yep.
I'm going to stay home and
Yep. Nikki and I were supposed to go on an investigation with the group, and I had a dream that completely set me off from going because something bad was going to happen to Nikki at that location, and I shut us down. I'm like, we're not going. Like I told Nikki, we are not going. And I've had dreams before that stuff happens, but I know if it's just a dream or if it's a premonition, and to me this was a premonition, so I completely shut it off. I was like, nope, we're not doing this game. So, and it's funny because both Zach and Nikki both said free will. And it's funny that people say free will because I've also had the same flip side argument, not only with myself, but with others. Yes, I talk to myself, but also with the other side that says free will is simply fate allowing you to think that you have the option. And that's a very strong statement to me, that fate feels so arrogant that it feels that your free will is actually fate letting you believe that you actually had an option.
yeah.
So that's interesting to me, how that plays out. And I can see both sides. And a lot of that really ties into my nerdy side of the future dimensions that already happened or have already happened, but yet for us are still to come. Is it something that if we change it now, will it change what happens in my future dimension? Or is my future dimension just set regardless of what happens now? And it's just going to work its way back into that time loop. And does my future dimension, if it's not even on the same timeline on now, but a parallel timeline, does it even matter? And this is like I said, this is where my nerdiness comes out, and I have to deal with all this, and poor Nikki has to listen to me talk about it. Because it just makes people's heads explode, except for people that are like me that go, this is the conversation I've been looking for. Let's go nerd out. Yeah. So, yeah.
And I think that, like you said, the future is always changeable.
Yes.
I mean, it's like those sci-fi movies, you can always change and nothing is set in stone.
Right.
And so like one day at work, and it was probably a couple months ago, out of the corner of my eye, I seen a little girl, black hair she was right at this cart and she was reaching up and grabbing it and she was smiling. And I looked again and it was gone. And I'm like, okay, so if that was my younger self, I mean, she looked happy,
Yeah.
And I'm like, aw. And I just started tearing up and I'm like, okay, I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it was just so quick that,
I
mean, I seen it and it was gone, and I was excited, but I was sad at the same time, because I was like, was that me or was that, because I was being Native American and growing up with my family and seeing my real brothers and sisters and my real mom and them. And I knew, that yes, I probably chose this family for a reason. My karmic debt, my karmic cycle, whatever it was that I had to go through, that I went through, and I accepted it. But also I I couldn't understand why everything that happened to them happened to them. And then the more I got into it, the more I thought about it and everything, because my parents, my mom and her sister, and probably my real dad, they had went to these boarding schools, these residential schools, and it was horrible just imagining, because you hear the stories of
Yeah.
what had happened to them.
What they went through. Yeah.
And then I realized why my brothers and sisters on both sides went through what they went through because of what happened to my parents. And so when I go to the cemetery, when I go up to South Dakota, I I tell them, I sat there and I talked to them out loud and I said, I understand. And whether it's to the whole cemetery, because they don't have very many visitors up there, but
Right. Right.
I understand why we went through what we went through. I understand why everybody's lives are the way they are, why they grew up the way they did because of what you guys went through. I said, it's not your fault. It's
Right.
not our fault.
Correct.
I said, I forgive you. And it's to me, it's peaceful that I can say that,
Yeah.
because when I was growing up, man, I held a grudge like no other. Like, it was horrible. Like, I blamed my mom. I blamed, it was always a blaming game. Why me? Why am I having to live this life?
Right.
And then the more I got into it and the more I understood, then I'm like, no, there's nobody to blame.
So
I understand,
it's interesting that you just said that. I want to tell you the reaction I had to that and what came through to me when you said that. When you said that you told them, hey, I understand and I forgive you, I had an instant flash in my mind that this is not to make you feel bad at all. And it's designed not to make you feel bad, because you need to know that your parents, that they did move on. Yeah. But they left this small trace of themselves back here waiting for that forgiveness.
Yeah. And I think about that too.
Yeah. And when you said it, it wasn't enough of a consciousness that was bothering them. It was just a little something that was left here. Like almost just I want to say like a grain of sand type of just inkling of I need to stay here to make sure she understands. And then when you said, I forgive you, that piece instantly, like almost like a little, the best way I can say it is like a shooting star just shot off.
Yeah.
For both of them. It was like, she gets it. We're good. We can move on now. And that's instantly what I got in my head when you said that. And it was such a clear image to me that I needed to say it to you out loud.
Well, thank you.
So you had that understanding. Because like I said, it wasn't enough that when they left, they weren't saying, oh no, we're leaving and she doesn't understand. They left saying, she's going to understand. And then when you did, that tiny little piece that was left behind went in and like basically found them and connected back to them. So in that way, they have the full understanding. Okay, she got the message.
Yeah.
It's almost like a little messenger is all it really was.
And I tried to get my sisters to understand that, but they're just so far gone into their life and playing that blame game and stuff that they don't care to listen. They don't care. And no, and I got to let it go, because that's they're the ones that got to deal with that. Right. I tried. I mean, the only thing I can do is their kids. And their kids, my nieces and nephews, and they understand, they listen to me. And I said, you guys don't blame yourselves. I said, and don't blame your grandma or your mom or them. It's just the way they were raised, because of the way your grandparents were raised and the way they were raised. And it just goes back. I said, you just got to forgive them. That's all you can do.
Yep. Really, that's all there is. So
yeah. I mean, that's with anybody, not just Indians that go to residential schools, but that's just any generation. You just got to break that generational curse.
Yes, definitely.
So
definitely. So, well, Ajang popped in to say hi to us.
Well, hello.
So hi, Ajang. But unfortunately, I think we're at a good stopping point. So Ajang, you have to go back and watch the playback, because I think we're at a good stopping point for tonight. So Rosie, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
For sharing information with us and sharing your stories with us.
No problem.
I really enjoyed you coming on and actually finally seeing you face to face.
In the dark.
In the dark. Well, I got to
the
see
dark.
before it got dark. So
Right.
everyone got to see before it got dark. So,
Yes.
But again, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful night.
You guys too. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
All right, everyone. Well, that was our first run. Well, our first full run in a while of open mic night on Monday night. So if this is something that we want to continue to happen, please let me know. Share it with me. Share your information with me. Say, hey, I like open mic night, whatever else. Send me information so I know. The way you can do that, well, of course, you can get a hold of me here, or you can come out to these locations right here. Facebook.com/Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook. You can go out to Twitch at Stuff I Never Learned. You can go out to YouTube at Stuff I Never Learned. You can go out there, drop me a message, share with me the information, how you thought tonight's show went. If you think we should continue to do open mic night, because I'm okay to it. I don't mind doing this, and if it's just me prattling off a bunch of information for y'all, and stuff might get nerdy or whatever else, then that's what's going to have to happen. You can also find me at stuffineverlearned@gmail.com if you ever want to email me, share stories with me, want to talk to me, ask questions of me, whatever else. Again, it's stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. That's something we can go ahead and do. Cheryl, you're welcome. I'm glad that you're getting stuff out of this. And you are more than welcome for resting your heart. I'm glad that you got that message as well. And the dog is doing its job. Other than that, next week we do have a show. Sorry, Zhang. I didn't know it wouldn't appear. I sent him out a bunch of times. Hopefully you'll go back and watch this because it was a pretty cool one to go through. A lot of it was just me prattling until a couple people came on to share information. But other than that, that was just kind of normal. But I'm glad you did pop in. I love seeing your face. Oh, by the way, congratulations for getting back into film. That is huge. For people who don't know, Zhang was a young actor or actress at one point, and used to do movies and shows and everything else. And she has been brought back into the world to where she gets to play herself, or she gets to play a character during 3 different timelines, as a younger woman, as time as it is now, and as an older lady. From what I didn't know, from what I've read so far. Jolene, you don't need to have StreamYard. All you need to do is click onto the link, and it brings you onto my StreamYard. Just so anybody wants to know that, you don't have to have StreamYard. StreamYard is what I run my show on. And when I send you the link out, if you follow the link, it sends you onto my link. So you're coming onto my StreamYard. You do not have to have StreamYard. You just simply have to click on that link and it'll bring you to me. But again, Zhang, I'm really excited to keep following your story. It's really cool. I'm loving how you keep sending us little notices and information and little backstories and behind the scenes. That's fantastic. So thank you very much for sharing with us. For those of you who want to know more about Zhang, I'm kind of putting you out there, but Zhang has a wonderful backstory, a fantastic childhood, just a fantastic family altogether, from her father who passed away to her son who's following in her father's footsteps, to her. She plays such beautiful music. And has great abilities that she's really starting to understand and open up and trust. But she also has this acting side of hers that is fantastic. So again, she's just a wonderful, beautiful person. So feel free to kind of follow her. I don't want to say stalk, but kind of keep an eye on her. That's what I do. So thank you very much, Zhang, and thank you very much for this. No, Stuart, I'm not stalking her. I've known Zhang. She was actually one of my very first followers when my show started a while ago. A little over a year and a half ago. She was one of my first, and she's been with me ever since. So she and I are like brother and sister. So I follow her, she follows me, and we just love sharing the information out. But next week, I do have on a guest. I have on Ray Gooseby. Now, if you don't know who Ray Gooseby is, he is a cryptid hunter, knowledge base, just fantastic, wonderful gentleman who I'm going to have on my show. You're gonna love this guy. He's hilarious. He's boisterous. He's full of energy. He's going to be a fun guest to have. But again, I will post that out there for October 2nd, I believe it is, next Monday. He will be on my show. So please feel free to come on and visit us. In the meantime, like, follow, share. I'd love to keep growing our community to let people know that we're out there. Let them get some education from the hosts or from the guests I have on, from the audience members who share with us. Other than that, have a great night. Have a great week. Much love. And I'll see you all next week.